Suffer. So, I'm Bailey Jr. I run Scapegoat TV.
Scapegoat.
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 Scapegoat TV. Good cunt.
For the last 3 years. I've just been an all-round metal scene bum. So, yeah, like, I pretty much started off just going to gigs and contributing to the scene with my finances, buying t-shirts, things like that. And then had a conversation with a good few friends, which then told me that it might be an idea if I picked up a camera, started actually documenting some of the things that were going on around town. So literally just taking my fanship to a different level. I initially reached out to just my friends in the industry really, and just asked them if they would like to be involved and to be documented either via interview or podcast or live on stage or in the studio.
Known Bailey for a good few years now, and yeah, been there since pretty much the start.
Been friends with Bailey for a number of years now. We met just drinking in the same bars.
So I've done a fair few projects for Bailey in the past.
I've always really liked his attitude, his approach to what he does. Just reaches out to people and never gives up, always trying different things, and really positive attitude and really inclusive.
Been producing a lot of audio works for a lot of the videos that you might have checked out.
Well, I've not actually known Bailey for very long.
Been involved with a couple of times. He's done various other things. Like me, some good, some shit, some in between.
Met him at the merch desk at one of our shows at Bannerman's, Bailey's natural habitat.
You know, being out and about, whether it was us playing a gig or being at one of the local nights, you know, he's always seems to be kicking about.
Worked with him a few times for that. We did a few interviews and things like that, which is cool.
I only met him recently through Stu Gordon.
We have done a lot of live videos for bands, capturing their live performances, but we've also done the Wall of Sound sessions.
Did some early interviews with him, Wall of Sound sessions, he's filmed a bunch of our shows, so yeah, fucking pillar of the scene, good lad.
You know, he always comes and speaks to you, he's just a general lovely guy, and you know, that's kind of where I kind of struck up a friendship with him.
From interviews with the bands to live performances, even studio performances as well.
It's been quite a long-lasting friendship, lots of drawing, painting and whiskey.
I was wondering if he would be interested in maybe filming Rate Them Off the Floor, and turns out he already knew I was coming for a pint and wanted to ask us if we'd be up for getting filmed.
So that's been going really, really well for the last 3 years, and that's been more documentary footage sort of stuff. So I've always wanted to do like a narrative film, which I'm just a big fan of film all round, but I think I'd gained the chops through doing the video stills and things like that for bands. I thought it would be an idea to do something with narrative in it. It initially started off like just a bit of fun.
A good few late nights, you know, sitting talking shit about movies, as I'm sure everybody's done before, you know. We've all seen a few makings of, and we all envision that, you know, we can do this.
I got involved with the film almost by accident, really.
It was interesting when he was saying, trying to come up with an idea of like some form of narrative, and when we were discussing about this sort of idea, it was just like, well, if I just film a sequence and see how it looks.
A couple of months ago it was basically just a chat and a couple of sketches, and
he was just kind of like swimming around with a lot of ideas, and probably just needed that little push just to say, yeah, just go ahead and do it, and you know, think about the scenes, the shots, the narrative you're trying to take.
I became very aware very quickly that if I was to do anything from a narrative point of view, that it would be a good idea to do something that I know about, I'm pretty much submersed in all the time, and something that's personal to me. So, to put a little pretense, the last year wasn't really the best year for me. I've had a lot of health problems and mental health problems, and just life problems really. So for a long period of time I was down in the dumps. I just didn't really know what to do with myself. So this is why I chose to do something with my time which I thought would actually be beneficial, not just to myself but to others. And this is where the mental health, male mental health, suicide narrative came from. Since I am surrounded by it every day, the metal and extreme scene is pretty much dedicated to it. Its lyrics, its art, like everything is dedicated to the darker side, and it's one of these things that even we don't talk about it very candidly. We seem to like bottle up our emotions and never really say anything about it until it's too late. And I myself have had these thoughts, and a good few friends of mine have and followed through, and it's not good. It's not good, the state of affairs that we're in. So I thought this would be my 10 cents towards that conversation.
I think it's a very important issue. You know, I've worked in social care, and I've worked in like secure units, locked units.
It's not something that is discussed nearly enough, and I know we've all lost far too many friends far too early. So it is something that is really, really important and really does need to be addressed.
It affects quite a few people in my circle of friends, including myself.
Mental health in general, men's mental health, suicide, that sort of thing. These things are, tend to be swept under the carpet.
Well, I've just like watched people, on shift, because if you turn your back, they're gonna end themselves. I've wrestled fucking rocking jam jars out of people's hands, done a wreck their wrists. I've pulled people, jumped in front of buses.
I've lost family members, I've lost friends. I think a lot of people have by this age or this time.
Suicide's one of these things that, doesn't get spoken about nearly enough.
Fucking rugby tackle people leaping off stairs with nooses around the neck.
From my own experiences, with friends and things like that, it's frustrating to see how easy it's to slip through the cracks in the system.
It's a subject that we don't talk about nearly enough. It's a subject that we don't particularly feel comfortable speaking about, especially those that are suffering from mental illness.
We chatted about various aspects of the narrative and what it meant to us, and I guess for a lot of us it brought up a lot of memories of our past, being either periods where we were going through something, or friends of ours, people we knew, we were going through something, or sadly we had lost. Unfortunately, if we lose one person, it's too many.
Recently, I've had it affect a few people very close to me in the past 6 months.
I mean, I had an uncle took his own life, and I had a cousin that pretty much drank himself to death, just gave up.
A family member of mine killed himself 20 years ago, and that's sent me on that fucking drive.
It's still very prevalent in today's society. Suicide and just people living in like terrible conditions.
Mental health is something that I've suffered with for pretty much my entire adult life, and anything to raise a positive awareness for it is a good thing.
It affects absolutely everybody. I mean, the film's obviously focusing on the most extreme sort of case, but I think it's important to remember that it's a day-to-day thing. It affects everybody, and the more we kind of talk about it and have things drawn attention to it, the more people can learn and try to understand it a lot more.
This is beyond pandemic. Right now we're in lockdown in the middle of the COVID-19 situation, and it's wildfire across all countries and media outlets, yet no one does anything or talks out in the open about something which statistically is killing more people per day.
Yeah, so suicide is something that I've done my fucking best to try and prevent in people professionally.
Again, it is just my representation of it. This is my personal take on the situation, and utilising personal references into the film. So after these conversations were had, I started production properly. As I say, I'd fucked about with just doing like a few little fun sequences just to see if I could stitch together a few scenes, but they didn't really lead to anything. And then I went for the full filming for Suffer straight away. Every shot in the film is pretty much had to be filmed 3 times. Mostly just blank air, trying to find the space in the room that I was going to film and then place myself in it, so I didn't really know what I was doing at the time. I knew it wasn't going to be a feature or anything like that. I wanted to keep it short and to the point. Ideally, little to no words spoken at all, so it was really like forcing me to utilize my visual storytelling. So it was just pretty much an hour by hour look at someone that's dissolving, that's like that's falling down that pit of despair, and they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So with actual production, once it had started, I pretty much filmed it like a Korean action film, which is kind of silly to say because most of the narrative of this is quite slow paced. So in Western media they normally just get a set and film it over multiple days, but in Eastern media they pretty much do back to back, so everything that you see is in sequence. They film it in sequence, and so I did that to keep continuity. I just pretty much kit bashed my ideas to figure these things out, and with no academic training I was going into this pretty blind. So yeah, it was a lot of trial by fire. There were some things that I learned on the fly, some things that I did, like had to evoke from the film because it didn't quite work. But yeah, very, very happy with the visual extent of it, and other people seem to be too. So once the ball was initially rolling, because I'd done all the visual production in about 5 days, 5-6 days, and that was, say, 95% of the visuals done, so all of the filming, most of the post-production, it was just things like credits and overlays and things like that to be done. And that's when I started to like reach out to other musicians and people that I'd utilised before in my past projects.
He'd come back with certain ideas and show me some of these cuts and takes, and then we'd discuss together, and I would, bluntly and honestly just turn around and say, if there's any, this doesn't look right, I can see what you're doing there, maybe try expanding upon this. You give a guy 2 cents.
My contribution to the film was largely the sort of artistic side to it. I've done the posters for the film. We're going to be producing some digital versions of those to go online, various sort of websites and advertising, that sort of thing. I have also largely contributed to doing the titling for the film as well, and that took a little bit longer than we expected, just because I insisted on putting this ridiculous blur effect on all the writing.
Bailey asked me about the soundtrack side of things, and he'd spoken about the people that he was thinking about getting involved. I obviously put my own 2 cents in there as well and suggested a few extra people that might be suitable and would be up for it.
Why not do something with this and try and get some people involved and maybe even turn it into something?
Obviously, coupled with the fact that Bailey's a good friend and it meant a lot to him, I wanted to help him out in any way that I could. So the best way for me to do that was to use my studio and record the soundtrack for the film.
Now it's a full-blown feature, so yeah, it's been an exciting project.
It's cool being a wee Lee Devil on the shoulder and maybe pointing him in a few directions.
From there, it just seemed to grow.
Initially, it was Stu Gordon, long-time friend and confidant of the brand Wall of Sound Sessions. Stu, he let us utilise his space, so we could actually orchestrate this and get people in one space and film and record and get the standard of a soundtrack for this short film.
Then we obviously spoke about how it was going to work and how to sort of build the momentum as the film goes on. And we spoke about various ways of doing this.
We then came up with several plans of the actual executions, if we were going to do loops or if we were just going to do like a jam session and do it all in one 15-minute chunk. But we came to the conclusion to segment it slightly and then just bridge it out from there. So from there we agreed on the execution, and then it was then time to pretty much reach out to similarly inclined people to see if they would be keen in contributing not just their time but also like their musical chops towards this. Now this is the crazy thing, that when I reached out to ask if people wanted to be involved in this project, I tried to cast the net as wide as possible, expecting a lot of no's or, oh, I can't do this, and so on and so forth. 100% of the people that I asked got involved, which is jaw-dropping, and it really goes to show that this topic is really close to people's hearts and they do want to contribute towards a bigger picture. And I'm actually overwhelmed at, as I say, 100% of people that I've asked to be involved to contribute anything, they've said yes straight away, which I'm so thankful for. So I set up a group chat.
But yeah, he put this thing together. He said he was going to do a film about, raising awareness, suicide, mental health.
Didn't really know much about the film when I said yes, and I went down to his flat like the night before we recorded, and yeah, he showed me a rough cut of the film, and it was really cool,
Shoved his phone in my hand and said, "Oh, check this out," and I was like, okay.
And he showed me the video that he'd done so far, told me about the subject matter, blah de blah, and I told him a few stories myself, and he asked me to get involved. I think I said I wouldn't mind getting involved.
And when he first asked, it was, I didn't know anything about the film at all, and it was just that's what he was wanting. So initially, regardless of what it was about, I was going to say yes.
So yeah, I was happy to do it. He said he wanted some like atmospheric and kind of weird noises and things like that at the start of the film. And I said I was very happy to help,
When he told me he was wanting to make a short film and was looking for help to work on a soundtrack, I told him any way I could help and be involved, I'd like to do that. I'd like to support him.
Considering all the different people Bailey knows and all the amazing musicians that he knows and friends he's made over the years, to be asked to be the drummer for this project was a great honour. And when he explained to me what the subject was about and his whole ethos, I pretty much demanded that yes, I would definitely want to be involved.
It's a different type of satisfaction seeing someone else's grand vision evolve and you were able to be part of that. It's quite nice. It's also quite nice just to be asked as well.
So when Bailey said he was doing this film, I'm fucking in.
So over the moon, they managed to come down and literally bash this thing out in one day. It was insanity to see, because most of these musicians hadn't played together before, but they came in and they did it easy peasy first time, no problems.
Once the musicians then saw the rough cut of the film, they started to have their own thoughts on how it should progress as well, which is great. And on the day, we kind of ended up incorporating a lot of people's opinions.
Yeah, recording the soundtrack was a really wholesome day. It was smashing.
We sort of split it into 3 parts. We actually did the middle section first, and then we did the ending, and then we did the beginning. Why not?
I got down to Wall of Sound later in the afternoon. Tommy, Alex, Simon, Bailey and Stu and the pup were all well into it. What I heard when I first went in was a police siren. I was like, what the fuck is that going on? But you know what they churned out in very little takes in a short amount of time was amazing.
They came in and we basically gave them a timer and a very brief description of what they should be doing, and they just did it.
Set up a timer, which I was staring at intently. Alex came up with the main riff, and me and Tommy just basically jammed along to his riff.
Getting to collaborate, I suppose, with some really, really great players in the Edinburgh scene, which I haven't got to play with any of them in the past before, to be honest. And yeah, bloody sick.
There wasn't a lot of talking and thinking and premeditating. It was just go in and just play what we felt with very rough, vague guidelines. Bailey seemed to know what he was doing.
So I play guitar on the second and the third movements, which is the sort of like long doomy bit and the grind bit, which is absolutely fucking brilliant fun to jam with Shalpo from Endless Swarm and from Simon from Waiting Off the Floor, who, you know, a lot of respect for those two people, good pals of mine. It was really good that we got a day in the studio and we came out with something fucking really, really good, you know.
Known Tommy for, God, fucking years now. And yeah, always meant to play with him at some point, but it's never happened, so yeah, that was an absolute treat. Got a lot of respect for the man, he's a diamond. And yeah, Simon, only met him a few days beforehand, but fucking smashing the cunt out of that drum kit.
And Alex, fucking great guy, never met him before, just heard his band, Endless Swarm, heard so many great things, fucking out the park. And Simon, what a fucking machine. What a fucking machine. All round good cunt as well.
Stu just said, right, we're recording, and I just ad-libbed some sort of tribalish drummy beat.
Then yeah, when the Sapien boys and Ali came in later, they just made this perfect, haunting soundscape that, yeah, I think fits the movie perfectly.
I ended up playing with Fergus and Ronan from Sapien, and we were doing the more kind of atmospheric building part at the beginning.
And then when we went down to the studio, it was me and Ronan, who also plays guitar in Sapien, and Ali Lauder, who plays guitar and does vocals for Spire and Throne. So I never got to jam with Ali before, so that was cool. You know, it's always cool to jam with new people and things like that, and work with new people, so yeah, it was cool.
Ali had sort of a riffy idea, or sort of bass line just to kind of, like, for us to follow, and all Bailey really wanted from us was sort of weird noises.
I think we were all pretty surprised and pleased with what we managed to do, seeing as we didn't have very much time and we didn't really have a plan.
Yeah, I contributed a whole 12 seconds. I think it maybe took about 3 or 4 takes, usual shit for me, usually more. But I had no idea what to do. There's no fucking lyrics. Oh, there is.
Me and Jamie put the vocals on it at the end of it, and he absolutely smashed it, loving those highs. And then yeah, I just made nonsensey low sounds as usual, and job done.
Bailey, it was like he took all these ingredients and put them into a pot and just left them to sort of simmer and cook and do their thing. He was quite perceptive in the people that he wanted for the project.
Ali showed us what the riff was, and before we'd even really got a chance to practice it, we were recording over it, so it was pressure on, right, you know, to come up with something that was good. But yeah, we managed to do it in 3 takes.
It was just 3 guitars, 3 amps, 3 of us sitting in this room round a few mics, and it was kind of just time to jump right in.
So yeah, so we did that. I think it's great.
It was a real honour for me to be invited and be included within those group of people. I was quite surprised, honestly, but glad that I did it.
I was just really scream my tits off, make a lot of noise, do whatever, and basically that's what you hear. I had no fucking idea what I was supposed to be doing. got what to do.
Blew up my amp though, before I'd even got to play anything, so Ali was very kind and let me borrow his actual, one of his spare amps, which was very cool, because that was added to the pressure, let's say that.
Consummate professionals, a lot of them, and so pleased with how it turned out, so proud of everybody for the hard work that they put in that day.
And I think as well, the spirit behind the film itself, I mean, for me that's even more important, and just shows, I mean, it's such a positive thing to be part of a local creative scene. Everybody has a part to play, anybody can contribute, you just get involved and work together, and it's really great to have been part of something so positive and creative.
I mean, it was really good that we all got together, because the entire country went into fucking lockdown from fucking COVID-19 about half a week afterwards, so there's a great memory there simply because of that.
It was fun, pretty crazy, bizarre, just going with it.
And the end product blew my mind. I couldn't believe in such a short period of time what we ended up with.
There's other folk who are on it, but I went home. My bit's done, fuck off.
Yeah, like, it really goes to show that, like, these are world-class musicians that are ready to play on top of anything with, don't get me wrong, even a very small amount of direction, and they managed to run to a point of, well, what you'll see in the finished result, which is jaw-dropping that it took a singular day and we managed to get that polished, refined 15-minute take instead of it being a sloppy mismatch or whatever. Shout-outs also has to go to Stu Bendix and Simon Anger, Ewan Cameron and Lyle Brown. They all helped out through the making of the movie. They either lent us gear or their time again, with business acumen, and even just like trying to help me get this final product to you guys so you can actually see it. I'm so overwhelmed at how far this project has come in such a short period of time. I think this is in most part due to the people that have got involved and the community that's nurtured me through these past several years, and like building up my portfolio and just helping me in any way that they can. The community that's helped me grow and flourish. I couldn't be where I am right now without them, and I'm so thankful for every single one of them, however small or large their contribution were. So, with that being said, even though this is a work of fiction, the subject matter is undeniably real. Hopefully this will illuminate the horrors of mental health and what it can potentially lead to. This is not meant to glorify or glamorize or showcase anything in a good way. This is meant to show the bad side of it. It's just meant to be an unflinching look towards the reality of the subject matter and potentially kickstart a conversation that's necessary at this moment in time.